Hello and welcome to your own Reviews channel. In this video, we will review a comedy, action movie from year 2013 called The Heat. Now sit back and enjoy. In the starting scene, a team of FBI agents raid a house under the supervision of Special Agent Sarah Ashburn. Where they detained two men, FBI team couldn't find what they came for. However, Sarah easily find their drugs, which was hidden directly under fresh meat so dogs can't smell it, and a hidden storage where the weapons are stored. Sarah seems to be very good at her work, but among her co-workers Sarah is considered as an arrogant who don't respect her colleagues. Following evening, Sarah receives an announcement-related email, which was regarding to her senior officer Hale, who got promoted. That makes her happy because he is one who closed a lot of cases. Next day when Sarah went to see Hale, he gave her another mission of a mafia gang and showed her. So Sarah head to Boston. On the other side we see Detective Shannon Mullins, who is also good at her job. She was observing a man who was talking with a hooker. Mullins then intervened and later detained by physical assaulting the man, who lead her to his supplier Rojas. At first Rojas plays smart, but then tries to flee, but Mullins detained him as well by beating. Meanwhile, Sarah arrives at FBI field office in Boston, where she met with Levy. Then camera shifts to Mullins who was heading back to police station. When she was about to park her car suddenly Sarah took her parking space. Mullins gets angry and start cursing her, but Sarah walk inside the police station. She went straight to the Captain Woods to introduce her and demand to interrogate Rojas. At first Captain hesitate, because no one interferes in Mullins' work, but then Captain take her to Rojas. Sarah starts the interrogation. Rojas denied to cooperate and he mentioned that if he opens his mouth, then he will not live. On the other side Mullins took her car to police parking, but due to tight parking she struggles to get out of her car and crawl through other police cars. On the way back, she broke the side mirror of Sarah's car, then she went straight to Rojas for interrogation. After finding his cell empty Mullins starts scolding and cursing the on-duty police officer who told her that a FBI agent came and took her in interrogation room. Frustrated Mullins goes straight to the interrogation room, where she start arguing with Sarah and later hitting her. Captain Woods came in and stopped the fight. In the next scene, we see all three of them in his office. Mullins keep disrespecting the captain and also to Sarah. Mullins then hit Sarah's bag and stole her car keys by scattering her stuff. When Sarah couldn't find her car keys, then Captain told her she stole your car's keys and give her Mullins' location. Sarah then leave the office and went to the location where Mullins was waiting for her. Sarah showed her few pictures of the mafia doing and told her to stay away from this case, but Mullins manages to steal the case file from Sarah's bag. In the next scene we see Mullins visit her brother Jason who was in the prison. Mullins wants to know about Simon Larkin because she arrested her brother in drugs case. Jason didn't help her by saying I was just a low-level guy. Later that day, Sarah went to interrogate a suspect where she finds Mullins parked outside of the building which Sarah didn't like, and told her to stay away from the case. Sarah then calls her boss Hale to complain Mullins. Hale tells her that Mullins lives in the same area, and she can be beneficial for the case so work with her, leaving her no choice but to work with Mullins, so they both start working together. Then they both went to the suspect's apartment, where they met with Tatiana. Sarah start questioning her, which was not helpful, so Mullins intervened. Mullins noticed a different cigarette but she pushed the ashtray to Sarah and distract Tatiana's attention while Sarah picks the cigarette, then they both leave the apartment. Ironically Mullins lives in the same building, so she went inside her apartment where she showed her weapon stock to Sarah. In the next scene, we see them in FBI office where Levy runs the DNA scan and showed them the person and his club. Mullins recommend to place a tracker in his mobile. Later that night, Sarah and Mullins went there after finding the guy. They devise a plan. Mullins took Sarah to the bathroom and changes her dress appearance. That's how she can get close to the suspect and plant a tracker. After they get out from the bathroom, they start working on their plan. When Sarah gets close to her perpetrator and struggles to plant the tracker, then Mullins helped her by playing drunk and making a mess. Sarah plants the tracker as soon as she got the window, and then they leave the club. Outside, a black van starts following them. When Sarah couldn't shake it off, then Mullin deliberately crashed with them. Later, they found out the men in that van are from DEA, and they are working on the same case for quite some time and order Sarah and Mullin to stand down. During the argument, Mullin saw her brother Jason talking with the perpetrator, then she left the argument. Sarah noticed that and looked into the monitor, and also leave the argument. Inside the car, Sarah asked her about her brother, which Mullin didn't like, but she tells her the whole story that he was working with them, so she is the one who arrested him. Next morning they went to Mullin's house to meet with her brother Jason, who told Mullin that Julian likes him and don't want him to stop working for him. When Mullin uses a little force, then Jason told her about a guy who also tried to leave the gang. Now he is dead. He also tells her the location of that man. In the next scene, we see Mullin and Sarah with the dead body along with a doctor. When they go through his belongings, Sarah found some sticky material on the victim's shoe. With the help of Levy, they find out where they should search. Sarah and Mullin went there. After getting inside the building, they locate Julian with his man. Before they could do something, the guy from the club caught them by pointing guns at them and take them to Julian. Before Julian and his man harmed the ladies, Mullin takes control and also shot one of Julian's men. In the next scene, we see Sarah enters the interrogation room, when suddenly Mullin enters the room by throwing a book at Julian. Mullin then uses her tactics to get the information they want. Right then Hale enters the room and orders them to stand down. Outside the room we see the DEA agents who were pissed off of them because with what Sarah and Julian did they will never find Simon, so Hale put Sarah off of that case. That night Sarah and Mullin went to the bar and fall asleep there. Next morning when they were about to leave, Sarah's car blew up with a bomb. Luckily they both survive. When the authorities came and they were telling what happened to Hale, Sarah received a picture of Mullin's family, so they left the argument and went straight to Mullin's family to relocate them. Then Sarah suggested Mullin to get Jason back to the gang as a mole. Right then Jason calls Mullin, who told her that he has already left the place and went back to gang. At that moment, Sarah snatches the phone from her, and Jason told her shipment details, including the ship name. That night, Sarah, along with the FBI team, raided that place, but later found out that it was false information. Right then Sarah finds out that Mullin led the scene to a hospital because of family emergency. When Sarah reaches to the hospital, Mullin told her they shoot Jason and left him on the street. Mullin also told her that our team is done here, and I will find the shooter myself. Sarah's job here is done, and so she will have to go back, so she start wrapping up everything. On that day when she was about to leave Boston, Sarah heard Hale's voice, who was addressing a team about the mission. The DEA guys was also there. When they start making jokes of Mullin, it is then Sarah intervene and scold them. Meanwhile, we see Mullin, who was going to arrest a drug dealer when someone puts a gun on her head from behind, but luckily Sarah came for her rescue. From there on the two of them start taking down all the links. When they arrest Rojas, and by interrogating him, he gave them right information this time. So they head back to Mullin's place and prep for real shakedown and went straight to their warehouse, where they bust two men, but the other men, including the club guy, were there who take charge. Sarah and Mullin went completely prepared, so they smoked them with bomb. Unfortunately, the Simons man arrested them, where Julian tied them both on chairs. Right then a man came and informed Julian that Simon is here. Before going to Simon, Julian stabbed a knife in Sarah's leg. When Julian left them alone, Mullin took advantage from it by taking the knife out and freed her hands. It is then they heard a gunshot. Mullin put back the knife in Sarah's leg and pretend tide went back, like Julian left them. At that time, DEA guys entered that place. At first they get relieved, but later finds out one of the DEA guys is Simon, who shot the albino. When Julian arrives at the spot, Simon ordered him to take care of these two women, and then he left to finish Jason. Before Julian can torture them, Mullen took the knife out of Sarah's leg and cut Julian's leg, and when Julian attacked them second time, Sarah intervened and managed to knock him down. After Julian, they went straight to the hospital. When they arrives there, Mullen rushes to Jason. While Sarah couldn't walk, she crawl inside the hospital. Soon Mullen finds his brother's room. When she entered the room, Simon hit her head from behind and approaches to Jason. Right then Mullen noticed Sarah outside of that room, so Mullen engages Simon in conversation to buy some time for Sarah. When Simon was about to inject something in Jason's arm, it is then Sarah makes a surprise entrance and shot him twice on his wealthy area. After that we see Hale congratulates them on their success. Then movie shifts 2 weeks later, where we see Boston PD awarding Mullen for her dedication and hard work. Mullen and Sarah are now became just like sisters. Then the movie ends. Hope you like the work. Thanks for watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe the channel.